Hi, this is Rainbow Harmony, here to help you find balance and peace to live a more colorful life. And this is a pick a card reading about toxic parents, toxic family, how to heal and thrive. So I've had this requested so much lately. I feel like a lot of people have been thinking about this. I've been getting so many emails. Maybe this is just what's kind of going on right now in the energies. I want you guys to know that I've been through this. And in a lot of ways, this is one of the reasons why I started Rainbow Harmony, because I went through a healing journey related to this topic, and I've learned so much, I've grown so much, and I'm also still working through this. So I want to share a little bit from my perspective and also share from what the messages are from the cards. Everyone's situation is unique. This is a general reading. It may not resonate with everyone. Always trust your own heart and your own spirit above all else. Maybe there's parts of this that will resonate with you. Maybe all of it will. If it does resonate, definitely leave comments below. Let me know. We can start a discussion on this. And I'm just sending everyone who has been through this, who has been abused emotionally, physically, mentally, by their parents or by their family. I'm sending you love and light. I know how hard this path is. I know how hard this journey is, and I commend you guys all for being strong. So one thing I do want you to know is that before you become a survivor or a thriver, you must first become a victim. So the hardest part in this journey, I think, is allowing yourself to be a victim and realizing, like, this happened to me, and realizing, like, what it means for you, and seeking out and getting the help that you need, and spending the time you need to grieve and to mourn and to go through all the emotions and to allow yourself to feel your emotions. But there is a point where it's time to pick yourself up and to move on to surviving, and you get good at that, and then you can move on to thriving. So I want to just open up a little bit of a discussion on this today. I feel like there will be some general messages coming through, but this is a complex subject. I suggest, if any of you guys really feel like you've been abused, that you seek out professional help. It really does help. Go to psychologytoday.com to connect with a licensed practitioner, therapist, psychologist, psychiatrist in your area. That is definitely one of the first steps to healing. Some cities or towns or places will have programs where you can get cheaper counseling or you can get it for free. There's a lot of different services out there, so don't give up. You deserve the help that you need, and it's definitely worth your investment, okay? Our spiritual journey and meditation and affirmations and all that only goes so far. It's important to have someone professional there to support you along this healing journey, especially if you've been through abuse. So, to get your message, you're going to choose a crystal. Number 1 is the purple crystal. Number 2 is the yellow citrine. And number 3 is the leopard jasper. So choose a number, choose a crystal. If you choose number 1, we're going to get started right away. And if you choose any of the other crystals, head to the comments below where my lovely subscribers help me with the timestamps. So we're just gonna freestyle draw you some cards for those of you guys who choose number 1, and we're gonna see like what's going on in your situation and just like some tips, some pointers on how you can heal and thrive through this. Okay, I see what's going on here for you guys. So for those of you guys who choose number 1, this is talking about your mother and your father and how that is your first primary relationship in life. And it's natural as a child to want to, feel loved, to want to feel respected, to want to feel like you have your parents' approval and to want to please them. Now, when one or both of your parents is abusive or neglectful or distant or has a mental disorder or is like a narcissist or something like that, or a sociopath, or they lack empathy, or they're harsh with you, what that does to you is it does kind of cause you to constantly be seeking that approval from the parent and you never get it. Or maybe sometimes you metaphorically get the carrot, other times you get the stick. So it kind of messes with your mind. And as a young child, you get this message that you're not worthy, that you're not good enough, that you're a screw up, that you're never gonna make the cut, and you feel like, you know, what's wrong with you? Like, I don't feel love, like, and so it can really confuse you when it comes to love. So when you go out in life, sometimes you end up attracting partners, like romantic partners that are similar to your parents or one of your parents. And maybe you attract someone who's neglectful or distant or abusive or controlling or something like that. This wound kind of carries on, and you continue to manifest scenarios where you can work through this wound. Now, there's good parts of that and there's bad parts of that. The good part is, with every toxic partner, you have a chance to learn boundaries. You have a chance to learn more about your core wounds. You have a chance to heal and to grow and to learn, and that's the path for some people. For other people, it's difficult because you start feeling like helpless, like a victim, like, you know, this bad stuff always happens to me. Why can't I attract a better partner? And like, it can really cause you to self-sabotage and stuff like that. And what's awful about this is that it also affects your work. If you had a parent who didn't say, good job, I'm proud of you, or like was constantly telling you, like beating you down, or, you know, telling you that you're not good enough, or maybe when you were younger, because of the abuse, you fell into the wrong crowd, or you fell into drugs, or you fell into addiction, or you didn't really take the time to feel confident enough to work towards your talents and your gifts in a career path or whatever, it can cause you to feel kind of like stuck in life, or like you don't know what you want to do. It's kind of like this damned if you do, damned if you don't kind of thing, where it's like if you go out and you try to work towards something, like it's never good enough for the parent, but if you don't do anything, it's like also not good enough. So like there's nothing you can do that will please them, and you're afraid to make a move, you're afraid to move forward, you're paralyzed by fear. Maybe you have other symptoms from this abuse or from the toxic family. Like maybe some of you guys are still living with them, or they're still really heavily present in your life. And so like there's a lot of drama going on. There's phone calls, there's text messages, there's always something new, and you're just constantly doing damage control, constantly in survival mode. So it's like you don't have time to really focus on yourself, to really figure out what you want, to really like move forward in your life. So for some of you guys, this has affected your work. This has affected your perception. From ages 0 to 8, your brain is especially moldable and malleable. It's like a sponge. So the perspective of your parents or your caregivers, the toxic family, is being downloaded into your brain. And that is the set point. That's your programming with which you go out to meet life. And so you realize at this certain point, you wake up and realize you were abused, or you were neglected, or you're from a dysfunctional family or toxic family, or you were hurt or betrayed by your caregivers. And you wake up to that, and you can get away from that, and you can, move on, or you can kind of like get help and start healing, and your awareness grows. But then the awful thing is that the mindset that was downloaded into you when you were little is still there. So the biggest part of this journey is reprogramming your mind and your subconscious mind to feel loved, to feel worthy, to feel accepted, to feel like you belong, to feel like you can create whatever you want, to feel free, to feel safe. And so that's very challenging. But when you can do that, when you can start reprogramming your subconscious mind, that's when you can change your energy and your vibration and your set point. And that's how you change your life. That's how you change your world. And from there, opportunities will start to come in your life, and you can thrive despite this. You can find fulfillment despite this. A lot of talented artists, the one thing a lot of artists have in common is coming from a toxic family, a dysfunctional family, a broken family, a family where there's, a mean or narcissistic or controlling or borderline or emotionally neglectful parent or parents. And I think what this does when you're growing up, like you tend to spend a lot of time in your room. You try to get away from it. And so you end up kind of occupying yourself for survival. So sometimes you turn to things like making crafts or taking photos or doing makeup or drawing or maybe computer work or art or video games. For some people, it turns into maybe being really computer savvy, reading books, writing. There's, it can cause you to be kind of artistic, focus in on something and just try to get your mind off everything. And as you grow up, like, you do kind of develop these talents and these gifts as part of being part of this environment. It's like your safe place. It's like, where do you go to for comfort? So a lot of artists actually have this in common. I feel like it's part of why a lot of artists are very emotional and very sensitive. And art can be something that's very healing for you. So this is talking about realizing that there are gifts that come from this path, and no one should have to go through this horrible abuse to become gifted or whatever. But there's a lot of horrible things, and you might be healing from this the rest of your life, but there are some good things that have come out of it. Like, there's a part of you that has protected yourself. Like, you're very strong. Because you've been treated this way your whole life, you're probably very empathic. You will probably be a very good parent if you aren't a parent already, or if you plan on being a parent. I know not everybody plans on that. That's okay. Take your own path. You'll probably be very kind to other people, very understanding, very bright, very gifted, very kind. And the amazing thing is like, you didn't let that get to you. You stayed strong. Even though all this crap happened and it did kind of wear you down, there's this part of you that has saved part of yourself. And that's the part of yourself that needs your love, that needs your attention, that needs your approval. So I do see things getting better for you. I think something that's important is finding like a place where you can be validated and speak about what happened to you. Feel free to do this in the comments below. I'll come by and I'll put a heart on it. I'm sure other people will write, kind words. This is a really kind, safe place. But you might even want to look on the internet and like go on Instagram and search hashtags and see if you can join in a group. And you can join a lot of online groups anonymously to talk about what you went through, to hear other people's stories. Even on Reddit, there's pages for people who've been abused or been through specific types of abuse. And I think something that helped me on my journey was reading other people's stories or hearing other people's stories and realizing I wasn't alone. Sometimes this type of abuse can make you feel crazy, because your whole life, if you try to speak out against it, or you try to whenever you try to realize it, like, you're kind of told like that didn't happen, or your abusers try to kind of rewrite history, or you're told you're the problem, it's your fault, especially if you're the scapegoat in a toxic family or of your abuser. And so it can be just really rough. And when you finally hear other stories, you realize you're not alone. You realize this is something that's going on with a lot of people around the world, which is very sad. But I also feel like it's a message that you don't have to be alone. And sometimes this type of abuse is very isolating. So I think being heard and being validated is one of the first steps. And I feel like maybe that's where you're at. Maybe you just need to be heard right now. Maybe you just need to be validated and let your journey take you forward. Besides getting professional help, which I think is super important, I think being validated is great. And there's a lot of online communities, and maybe you can just write in your journal how you feel. Sometimes this type of abuse, like, you get the message that you're not entitled to your feelings, or you're afraid to admit how you feel, or you have to put on a happy face or whatever. I think it's important that you have a space where you can be able to express your emotions and be able to express your feelings. If you're afraid your journal's going to get read or something, get a journal app on your phone where you have to enter a passcode in order to be able to write it in. And that will be very helpful for you. So there never really is just like a simple answer to this path or this type of abuse. Just know you're not alone and find a way to be validated and be heard. And I feel like that's the main message that's coming out for you right now in this time regarding this situation. So I hope that this resonates with you. I'm sending you so much love and light. Peace out. So for those of you guys who choose number 2, the yellow citrine crystal, let's go ahead and get messages about just what you've been through, the toxic family situation. I'm so sorry you've been through this. Maybe you've been through some abuse or some neglect. and we're just going to see what's going on here and get you some messages. Okay, so for those of you guys who choose number 2, there's a couple different messages that are coming out. Let me just pull some clarifiers real quick. Only take what resonates, because I feel like there's a couple different groups of messages that are going to come out here. Okay, the first message I'm picking up on here is that there are some of you guys who are, you've been in that survivor mode, but you're getting ready to thrive. And I just want to commend anyone out there who's been through this, who still like has the ability to dream and to, you know, have hopes and desires for your life. I feel like there's a message that these desires will carry you forward and keep going with them. I remember I went through all this crap, but I just hung on to my dream of helping other people and being a fashion stylist. And, you know, you guys know I talk about like my life and stuff a lot on the channel, but hanging on to that dream and just working towards it a little bit every day really did help me keep my focus and keep my wits about me while I was going through like this healing process. So I feel like for some of you guys, there's a lot of change coming into your life because you're realizing you can't depend on your toxic family. You can't depend on your parents or one of your parents anymore for that support, for that protection, for that safety to help you forward in life, to support you. And so you're just like, you know what? I'm gonna go like on my own. I'm gonna go out on my own and I'm gonna make this happen. And maybe this is what you've been doing for a while. And this is saying like letting your voice be heard, like letting your voice be heard. So for some of you guys, telling your story is a really important aspect of this, whether it's publicly, whether it's privately, just to like your significant other or close friend or to a licensed therapist, or maybe it's telling your story online, like in a forum or something, or on a support group. I feel like that's something maybe you've been feeling safe enough to do, or you're writing your story, or maybe you're thinking about telling it. And so this is saying that'll be really helpful for you. And actually, when you tell your story, it helps other people as well. And so, I forgot who said it. There's a writer who says, you own everything that has ever happened to you. If people didn't want you to tell your story, then they should have behaved better in it. So you own it. You own your life, you own your story. And a lot of what you went through has made you through who you are. I feel like you're at this point where you're like, all of that sucked. And what I went through with my family and everything sucked, but I would never take back the experience because it's made me who I am today. And of course you would never thank your family or your toxic family for being how they were, but you can thank yourself for the choices that you made, because that's the thing, is you control the narrative of your life. You are the magician. You get to decide how you're going to spin this. And so this could be the worst thing that ever happened to you, and it can condemn you to a life of misery and suffering, or this can be your greatest good. This could be the catalyst for your greatest good. You can decide, you know what? I learned from that I'm strong. I learned from that I have self-love. I learned from that I have a connection with God or the universe or your deity or your angels or whatever. You can be like, you know what? I learned that I have special gifts and I have special talents, and, you know, I learned how to depend on myself. And I think that's the most important thing in life. You can learn that from this situation, that it's unfortunate and it's so sad when you realize you're basically an orphan in life, or your family just can't support you, or they're toxic and you can't depend on them for anything, or it's just always going to be drama when you interact with them. It really sucks, but when you can separate yourself from that and be like, I choose a different choice, I choose a different path, I don't choose to participate in that, I don't choose to take that energy on, I don't choose to make that a part of me, I choose to go forward in love and in light, that's like the most powerful thing. And so there's some people that have written amazing books about what they've been through. Have you guys ever read the book The Glass Castle? If you've been through family abuse or narcissistic parents, or toxic family, dysfunctional family, a family where one or both parents is an addict or an alcoholic or something like that, Please read that book, The Glass Castle. And if you can't read the book, watch the movie. It just came out. Like, that's somebody who went through her. I'm getting chills just thinking about it. That is the story of someone who went through horrific abuse. And I feel like so many people can relate to that story. And that person went through it and made a book that's like a nationwide bestseller. And they made this movie that is so moving and so beautiful that so many people can connect with. And that is healing to me to watch it, to watch the movie, to read the book. And she chose to take her experience and turn it into something that was going to help other people. You know, I feel like I talked about this in number 1, but some of the most amazing artists are people who've been through this. There's so many people who've been through this. Like, have you ever heard Tony Robbins' story? If you don't know Tony Robbins, check him out. He's like another motivational speaker, but he talks about his relationship with his dad and like what it did to him and like how he healed from it. And now he's living this amazing life, inspiring people, lifting people up. And so if you let it be, this can be the catalyst for your greatest good. This can be the situation that causes you to go through this healing process, this transformation process, and you can make it all about you. You can decide to let it define you, or you can decide to like thrive through it. And I feel like that's the opportunity you have here. Now, for some of you guys, you're having financial issues. You're having trouble with money, and I feel like this is the root chakra. And the root chakra has to do with like abuse, what happened with your family, all that kind of stuff. So we're really talking about the root chakra here. And the root chakra also is like your ability to feel grounded, to feel purposeful, to feel like you belong here on this earth. And it connects you to money and finances. So you might be healing from this, and you're also struggling with finances. And so I noticed a huge change in my finances when I finally just started handling what happened with my past and with my family and my parents and stuff. Like, it was insane how that helped. And there's ways to do it. You know, once again, I'm going to shout out licensed professional therapists and counselors are really great for this, especially if you find someone who specializes in narcissistic abuse or the type of abuse you went through or dysfunctional families. Like, it's amazing. Knowledge is power. So learning exactly what you went through, what happened with your parents, what happened with your family, what role you played in the family, what role everyone else played, like how it all worked. Sometimes just having someone tell you like, yeah, that's abusive, or yeah, that's not normal, or I believe you, is so powerful. So that will help. But also there's a point where you do kind of have to face, in love and in light and with compassion, using your imagination, facing these people. Something I did in counseling was I sat in this chair and there was an empty chair in front of me, and my therapist had me imagine someone who had hurt me in my past and who had abused me, and had me speak my truth to them. And it was so overwhelming. It went on for like a half hour. There were tears. It was intense. But afterwards, I felt so empowered. I felt like I finally got to say my piece. Sometimes you can't actually in real life make peace with your abuser or make peace with your family. You can't walk up to them and say, hey, I've got this problem with you. I think we should talk about it or heal. They might just go, rah, rah, rah. Or maybe they're an addict and they don't understand and they're in another place. Or maybe they've already passed away. Or, you know, it's sometimes hard to make peace with abusive, toxic people. They're gonna flip it back on you all the time. So there's some ways you can do this. One, I've talked about this on the channel before. You can write a letter to them. Don't send the letter unless you want to start a lot of drama. Write the letter and say exactly what you need to say. Write down your memories of how they hurt you or how they affected you, and just go off on them. Even if you've got to use some colorful language, speak your truth. Don't hold back. You don't have to be all positive and spiritual and love and light. There's times where it's important to, you know, speak with your truth and use your emotions and be honest. And when you're done with that letter, maybe it's pages and pages long, you know, who knows? You're going to take that letter, you're going to rip it up and throw it away, or better yet, you're going to burn it. Don't create a fire hazard. Don't start forest fires. Be safe about it. But you're going to burn the letter, and you're going to, you know, release the energy. You might need to do this a couple times for each person that abused you to help release the emotion, because it happens in layers. It happens, you know, It's a lot of energy to release. Another way you can do it, if you really like meditation or you feel safer that way, and I've done this before as well, you can lay down, breathe deeply, relax your body or clear your chakras, and then you can imagine yourself somewhere that's safe, maybe out in nature, or maybe you can imagine yourself in a therapist's office with like an angel as your therapist or something, and imagine the person who abused you in front of you or who hurt you in front of you. And one same thing as the letter, speak your truth to them, tell them how you feel, go off on them, imagine that you're safe, that your guardian angels or your God or your deity is around you to protect you, and they're just gonna listen. And afterwards, when you're done, in your meditation, in your mind's eye, in your imagination, you're gonna say something like, I'm sorry, I forgive you, thank you, I love you, I am free and you are free. And you're going to imagine yourself cutting the energetic cords between you and this person. Then you can imagine them like floating away or something like that. You might need to do the meditation a couple times for each person that's hurt you, but this will create a huge release in your body. It's normal after you do this type of work to experience chills, or your body might shake a little bit, or like a weird feeling in your stomach, or a lot of tears. These are all signs that you're releasing that emotional energy. Those are signs that your spirit is letting go of that. This is about forgiveness, and once again, with toxic people, abusive people, people who severely hurt you, this doesn't mean that you forgive and forget. Forgiveness does not mean that you allow them to keep doing it. Forgiveness does not mean that you pretend like it never happened, or that you just go back into that person's life. Forgiveness is about you not carrying around that emotional, energetic burden anymore. It's a form of like spiritual emotional detoxification where you can, in love and in light, release that energy and just throw it back out there and just let it go to the point where you're feeling better. But I want to be really careful about saying let it go. There might be people in your life who are telling you just to let it go. This might be something that literally affects you the rest of your life. You might have to do healings like this the rest of your life. There might be days where you just have to sit in it and you just have to accept it. Like sometimes you can't erase this, you can't make it go away. Like I have depression, anxiety, and CPTSD because of what happened with me in my situation. And I know it's not something you can get rid of overnight. Even if you go on a plant-based diet, work out all the time, meditate, and do chakra clearings and say the right prayers, there's no magic formula to let this go. It's like a gradual process. It's a healing journey. That's why we call it a journey. So don't feel like something's wrong with you if you can't completely let this go, or if it's still in your mind, or if you still have something like PTSD and stuff going on, or if you're still upset about it. That's okay. There might be other people who come along and tell you, that like you need to let it go, or you should do this specific thing. And have you tried this? Maybe if you do EMDR, or you try this type of therapy or this type of diet, it's gonna help. And do everything you can to help yourself, listen to your body, you deserve it. But also, I think allowing yourself to feel your emotions in a healthy way is an important part of this journey, but it's about balance. You don't want to ruminate on what happened so much that it's causing you to like suffer in your life. So you just got to realize where you're at on your healing journey. Maybe you do need to just spend a couple months or like a year or something really going deep into this. Maybe you need to kind of put it behind you, but still allow time for yourself to process it. Everyone's journey is different. Everyone's transformation process is different. And there's no magical spell or anything that's going to make this disappear overnight. I think that there's stuff you can do to make it better, but for some people, it's going to take time, and that's okay. So this is about having the courage to walk this path, to know that it is taking you somewhere good, that you have the power to, maybe some of you guys are struggling to grow your abundance, to prevail, to create a different future for yourself and your own family that you might end up creating. This is reassurance that things will get better day by day, hour by hour, minute by minute, you're getting better. The less time you spend around this drama, around the toxic family, around the toxic parents, the less you allow their viewpoints, their thoughts, their opinions inside of you, the more that you affirm to yourself your truth and your worthiness, you'll get better little by little. You know, it's a journey, don't force it. And that's my speech. I hope that you guys enjoyed this message. I hope it resonated with you. I'm sending love and light to anyone else out there who's going through this. And I hope that this message inspired you. I feel like you can do it. I feel like you can really prevail through this, and you're not alone. Peace out. Okay, so for those of you guys who choose number 3, the leopard jasper. This is a message about like your toxic family or your toxic parents. If you had someone in your family who was alcoholic or an addict, or you grew up with someone who was less than loving to you, or harsh, or emotionally distant, or mentally or physically abusive to you, or just, you know, toxic, dysfunctional family or family member, we're going to pull some cards about your situation and see if we can just get you some messages that will help. Interesting. So it is really unfortunate that in your family you didn't really have that opportunity to really feel and accept unconditional love. The love that was given to you like had conditions. That's what I'm seeing. It was like, as long as you followed their rules, or you did what they said, or you were exactly who they wanted you to be, like it was kind of okay. But the second that you tried to be individual, the second that you went against it, the second that you expressed your true self or expressed your emotions, that love was taken from you. And so it's crazy when you realize like, wow, I was abused, or wow, I was emotionally neglected, or wow, like that wasn't real love. That was conditional love. That was not unconditional love. I think there's some people that are here who've experienced violence. That's what I'm seeing. And so it's scary because like you never knew when that was going to happen, and you experienced having to walk on eggshells around someone your entire life. So you might still be spooked if somebody rushes through the door sometime, even if they're like, happy birthday, like someone runs through the door and your heart starts freaking out and pounding, and you're like, because like you have that memory of someone opening the door and coming to, you know, hurt you or something. You might still be a little scared around people, or have social anxiety, or have like a little bit of nervous energy around just new people or different people, or maybe members of a certain sex. Like, say for instance, if your father was abusive to you, you might have a fear of men. If your mother was abusive to you, you might be afraid or triggered by women. And so there's some of that you're working through. And I feel like the hardest thing for you is that because of what you went through, you often feel kind of stuck in life. This is talking about feeling like at a stalemate, feeling kind of stuck, feeling like you can't move forward, like you're afraid to make a choice or a decision. And that's what abuse or neglect or toxic dysfunctional family can do to you, is it makes you afraid to make a choice, because you feel like you always have to ask permission for things, or you need to get the approval of a person in your family or of everyone. And so here you are in your adult life, and there's still a part of you that doesn't feel empowered to just do your thing and like live your life and make things happen for yourself. So you're learning how to just go in the direction of what it is that you want. You're learning that like abundance is your birthright. You're learning to give yourself a new perspective and to become optimistic. And I feel like that's one of the reasons you're here on my channel. And I feel like you probably watch other channels and like you're reading other like types of literature and books and stuff that are helping you to change your mindset. I feel like a lot of you guys who chose this number, you've been working on this for a while, and you're aware that you've come from this background, And I feel like you're doing a great job because you're separating yourself from that. You're separating yourself from that in a way to where you're like, I don't have to be a product of that environment. I can be whoever I want to be. So you're really recreating your thoughts. You're recreating your perceptions. You're opening your mind, and you're figuring out what you believe, what your truth is, like what you want to do in your life. And it's a really beautiful time. I think a lot of you guys who are here are on a twin flame journey. Some of you guys are married or in a relationship with someone who's very loving, very kind. There are some people here who are single. I just see this message that even though unfortunately you weren't able to experience unconditional love in the family or with some of the family, you will experience this in a relationship. I do see true love coming to a lot of you guys, and it's gonna be really beautiful. It's gonna be a big learning experience, but overall it's gonna be a huge blessing. So don't give up hope in love. Sometimes going through this in the family makes you feel really jaded, or makes you feel confused about love, or you get to a place to where you accept a relationship that isn't right for you. Maybe you end up staying in really long-term relationships just because it feels safe, and maybe you have an attachment disorder because of what you went through, when really like maybe there's something else out there for you, or you need to spend time on your own. Like, just trust yourself. A lot of different messages coming out here, but I feel like you're coming into awareness, and I feel like there is a true love out there for you. And as you find your truth inside, as you find your self-love, as you grow in your self-respect, you get closer to that path. Your own journey of self-love leads you to the twin flame, or leads you to the life partner you're looking for. So this is the Daughter of Cups. This is like a little lonely duckling here, just kind of floating around. It's sad because like it doesn't have a mother or a father or anyone to depend on, but it does have a lot to give. You know, it has this cup here. It has a lot to give. So you are a very romantic and artistic person. You're easily inspired by your surroundings. You're a dreamer, and you're very gentle. So any type of conflict is tough for you. You're very sensitive to conflict. So because of this, you don't want to avoid life or avoid certain situations. You want to kind of ease yourself into life after the aftermath of the dysfunctional family. But at the same time, you want to realize you can have choices. If you don't have to work in a place where there's tons of toxic people, or be someone who's answering the phone all day with really angry, upset people. Know thyself. Know what your triggers are. Learn to confront them, but at the same time, you can choose to place yourself in a really beautiful place in your life. You can keep fighting for a situation in your life and keep striving for a situation that's peaceful. So you can create peace around yourself. You can create love. You can create safety. So your power is in what you create. Realize that as you move forward and out of this situation, that your power is in your hands, and it is in what you create. So I hope that message resonated with you. Maybe those of you guys who choose number 3, I have a feeling like you guys, especially this group, might benefit from watching all of the messages. And honestly, anyone who's here, if you just want to watch all of these messages, all of them might help you, or maybe one of them really resonates. It's just a little tiny piece of this puzzle. I want to talk about this more. I've been thinking about even making another channel just focusing on this topic, but I've got a lot of work here with this channel so far, but I've got a lot of dreams for how I want to help and support people who've been through this. I am sending so much love and light to everyone who's been through this. Leave comments below. Let me know what you think, and go easy on yourself. Maybe after hearing this message, a lot of this is on your mind. You might be a little triggered, so maybe, drink a nice smoothie, or eat an apple, or go outside and just be out in nature, or put on your favorite perfume or lotion, or go hug your dog or your cat, or maybe watch something that's funny, or maybe you can spend some time journaling to write your thoughts, and just try to ease back into your day. And I'm wishing you guys well. Peace out.